Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going deep into iron oxides
Oh, very cool.
and their surprising role in helping plants grow. You know that rusty-looking stuff in soil?
Right.
Well, turns out it does way more than we thought.
It really does.
Our source for this deep dive is this really cool research article
Okay.
from Northwestern University, published just this week
Awesome.
in Environmental Science and Technology.
Great journal.
So get ready, because we're about to uncover how those iron oxides are actually like little chemical powerhouses,
They really are. It's amazing.
helping convert phosphorus into a form plants can actually use.
Exactly. We always thought they were just trapping phosphorus.
Right, which is a crucial nutrient for plants.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely crucial.
But this research is saying, no, they're not just trapping it.
They're way more active than that.
They're actually helping make it available.
It's a game changer for how we think about soil chemistry.
So, okay, if I'm remembering my high school biology correctly, phosphorus is pretty important for all life, not just plants, right?
You got it. It's in DNA,
Oh, wow, yeah.
the blueprint of life itself.
So it's not just about plants.
Nope. It's essential for energy transfer
Why?
and cell signaling in every living organism.
So basically, phosphorus is like a huge deal for all living things.
Pretty much. You could say that.
And plants need it for the same reason we need like a good breakfast,
I like that analogy.
to give them energy.
It's their fuel.
Yeah, to build strong roots,
Yes,
produce those tasty fruits and veggies we love.
absolutely. But there's a catch.
Oh, what's that?
Most phosphorus in soil.
Mm-hmm.
It's all locked up in a form that plants can't directly absorb.
Oh, so it's there,
It's there.
but they can't get to it.
Exactly. It's like having a pantry full of food,
Okay.
but you can't open the jars.
Well, that's so frustrating.
Right.
That doesn't seem very efficient, nature.
Well, we used to think that the only way
Yeah.
plants could access that phosphorus was with the help of enzymes
Okay.
from microbes and plants themselves.
So the microbes in the plants were making their own way to get in there.
Yeah. These enzymes break down organic phosphorus into inorganic phosphorus,
Okay.
which plants can easily absorb.
So that's how they were getting around that locked up problem.
Exactly.
So it's like having a chef in the soil,
I love that.
chopping up those phosphorus compounds into bite-sized pieces the plants can digest.
Perfect analogy, but
Right.
here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
This new research shows that iron oxides are also key players.
Really?
They're not just passively holding on to phosphorus, they're actively speeding up the conversion process.
No way.
Acting like tiny catalysts.
Hold on, catalysts. Now I feel like I'm back in chemistry class.
Don't worry, it's not that complicated.
Okay, good.
Think of a catalyst as a facilitator.
Huh?
Something that helps a chemical reaction happen
Right.
more quickly and efficiently.
Okay, got it.
In this case, the iron oxides are helping break down those complex organic phosphorus compounds.
Into a form plants can use.
Exactly.
Wow. So they're like little tiny chefs
Yeah.
and facilitators.
Preparing this delicious phosphorus feast for plants.
Wow, this is amazing. Okay, but how did the researchers figure this all out? Did they like sprinkle rust on some plants and see what happened?
It was a bit more sophisticated than that.
Okay.
They studied 3 common types of iron oxides:
Mm-hmm.
goethite, hematite, and ferrihydrate.
Those are the specific types.
And they looked at how they interact with ribonucleotides.
Ribonucleotides. Remind me what those are again.
They're the building blocks of DNA and RNA.
Right. Which contain phosphorus.
You got it.
Okay, so these ribonucleotides serve as kind of a model
Right.
for the organic phosphorus compounds found in the soil.
Exactly.
So they're basically seeing
Yeah.
how effectively each type of iron oxide could break down these ribonucleotides and release inorganic phosphorus. Okay, makes sense. And what did they find?
The results were pretty remarkable.
Oh, really?
They found that all 3 types of iron oxides could break down those ribonucleotides and release inorganic phosphorus.
Wow.
And they were incredibly efficient at it.
That's so cool.
In some cases, they were almost as fast as enzymes.
Wait, so we're talking about rust particles working almost as efficiently as enzymes? That's wild.
It is impressive.
I mean, enzymes are those specialized proteins that we think of as being really good at speeding up reactions.
Exactly. And it highlights just how much we still have to learn about the complexities of nature.
Totally. Okay, so we've got these different types of iron oxides. Were they all equally talented chefs?
Well, while all 3 iron oxides could break down those phosphorus compounds,
Okay.
goethite was the clear standout.
Goethite. What made that one so special?
The interesting thing about goethite was that, unlike the other 2,
Okay.
it didn't hoard the phosphorus it helped release. It made the newly released inorganic phosphorus readily available for plants to use.
So it's like, here you go, plants, I got you covered.
Exactly.
That is so cool. So goethite breaks down phosphorus efficiently, aiding to make sure the plants can actually use it.
It's a true team player.
But why is goethite so generous? Did they figure out what makes it different from the other iron oxides?
That's the big question they're trying to answer now. Initially, they thought it might be related to the structure of the phosphorus compounds themselves.
Okay.
Maybe certain structures were easier for goethite to break down, but after analyzing their results, they didn't find a clear trend there.
Huh. So if it's not the phosphorus compounds themselves, what else could it be?
They're now suspecting that the secret to goethite's generosity might lie in its own chemical makeup.
Interesting.
Perhaps something about the way its atoms are arranged, its surface properties, or even its electronic structure makes it more willing to share the phosphorus it unlocks?
So each type of iron oxide might have its own unique personality.
Kind of.
And goethite just happens to be the most generous one.
It seems that way.
It's like a molecular level philanthropist.
Yeah.
This is mind-blowing. So we've uncovered the amazing abilities of iron oxides as these phosphorus liberators.
They really are incredible.
But why should anyone listening care about this? How does this, rusty revelation impact their life?
That's a great question. And it takes us from the microscopic world of soil chemistry to the global scale of food security.
Okay, now we're talking. Bring on the big picture.
Remember how we mentioned that the world is facing a looming phosphorus shortage?
Right, because phosphorus is a finite resource, and we're using it up faster than it can be replenished.
Exactly.
And we need phosphorus for agriculture to feed everyone.
That's the challenge. Currently, we rely heavily on mining phosphate rock to produce phosphorus fertilizers.
Right, and those reserves are dwindling, and the environmental cost of mining is significant.
It's definitely not a sustainable solution long term.
So we need to figure out a better way. And is that where these iron oxides come in?
You got it. If we can understand how iron oxides, especially goethite, work their phosphorus-releasing magic,
Okay.
we could potentially tap into the vast reserves of organic phosphorus that are already present in the soil.
So instead of mining more phosphorus, we could learn to use what we already have more efficiently.
That's the hope.
That would be huge. But how would we actually do that? Would farmers start sprinkling rust on their crops?
Maybe not sprinkling rust directly,
Okay.
but the research team is exploring the possibility of creating synthetic catalysts
Okay.
inspired by these iron oxides.
So kind of like taking the best parts of goethite and creating a supercharged phosphorus releasing machine.
Exactly. And the potential applications go beyond just agriculture.
Oh, wow. Like what?
Imagine using these catalysts to help remediate contaminated soils
That's a great idea.
or to treat wastewater. They could even play a role in developing more efficient biofuel production processes.
Wow. That's incredible. It's amazing to think that something as humble as rust could have such a huge impact on so many aspects of our life.
It really is.
This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive so far,
It has.
and we've only just scratched the surface. We'll be back after a quick break to delve even deeper into the world of iron oxides and their impact on plant growth. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive. Before we move on, I just want to touch on something we mentioned earlier
Sure.
about the efficiency of these iron oxides
Right.
in breaking down phosphorus compounds.
Okay.
How do you even measure something like that?
Huh.
Were the researchers at Northwestern using tiny stopwatches and lab coats for these rust particles?
Well, not exactly. They used some pretty sophisticated techniques.
Okay, of course.
To study the interactions between the iron oxides and the ribonucleotides.
Right, which contain the phosphorus.
Exactly.
So they were watching how the iron oxides were breaking down these molecules.
Yeah, and they were specifically looking for inorganic phosphorus.
Right, because that's the type of phosphorus that plants can actually use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they measured it in the solutions surrounding the iron oxides and on the surface of the iron oxides themselves.
So in both places.
And by tracking the amounts of inorganic phosphorus over time,
Okay.
they could figure out how quickly and efficiently each iron oxide was breaking down the phosphorus compounds.
Okay, so what did they find? Were these little rust particles slowpokes, or were they like speed demons when it came to breaking down the phosphorus?
Well, the results might surprise you.
Okay.
The iron oxides were incredibly efficient catalysts. In some cases, their rates of phosphorus conversion were almost as fast as those of enzymes.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me rust is almost as good at this as enzymes?
It really speaks to the power of natural processes.
That is wild. And remember, we talked about the different types of iron oxides.
Right.
Goethite, hematite, and ferrihydrate.
Exactly.
And each of those has their own strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
So how did those other two types of iron oxides perform in these experiments?
Well, all three could break down the phosphorus compounds, but goethite was the most efficient. And remember, it also made the newly released phosphorus readily available for plants to use.
Right. Hematite and ferrihydrate weren't quite as generous, were they?
Not quite. They tended to hold onto the phosphorus a little more tightly.
So goethite is like the MVP of phosphorus providers.
Yeah.
It breaks down the phosphorus efficiently and makes sure the plants can actually use it. Why is goethite so generous? Do scientists have any idea what makes it different?
Well, that's what they're working to understand.
Okay.
One initial thought was that the structure of the phosphorus compounds themselves might be a factor.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe certain structures were easier for goethite to break down and release, but their analysis didn't really support that.
Okay, so if it's not the phosphorus compounds themselves, what else could it be?
Well, now they suspect that the secret might lie in goethite's own unique chemical makeup. There might be something about the way its atoms are arranged, its surface properties, or even its electronic structure that makes it more willing to release the phosphorus. It's fascinating, almost like a personality trait at the molecular level.
So each type of iron oxide might have its own unique personality.
You could say that.
And goethite just happens to be the most generous one when it comes to sharing phosphorus. But why would goethite have evolved to be so generous? Wouldn't it make more sense for it to hold on to the phosphorus for itself?
That's a really interesting question, and it kind of gets at the complexity of ecosystems. It's possible that goethite's generosity actually benefits the overall health of the soil, creating a more favorable environment for plant growth, microbial activity, and ultimately a more robust and resilient system.
Wow. So something as simple as rust could be essential for maintaining the balance of an entire ecosystem. It's kind of amazing to think about.
It is, and this discovery could really change how we think about managing phosphorus in agriculture and beyond. Remember we talked about a looming phosphorus shortage?
Right, we're using up phosphorus faster than it can be replenished. And mining for more isn't really a sustainable solution. So how does understanding goethite change things?
Well, imagine if we could harness goethite's ability to unlock phosphorus. We might be able to tap into those vast reserves of organic phosphorus that are already in the soil rather than relying on mining for more.
So instead of mining more and more phosphorus, we could use what we already have more efficiently. That would be incredible.
It would be a game changer.
Okay, so how far off is that?
Well,
Are we talking years, decades?
It's hard to say for sure, but the research team at Northwestern is actively exploring this. They're investigating the specific features of goethite that make it so efficient, with the goal of designing synthetic catalysts that can mimic its behavior.
So essentially, we'd be taking inspiration from nature and using it to develop solutions to real-world problems.
Exactly. And the potential applications go way beyond agriculture.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Imagine using these catalysts to remediate contaminated soils or even to treat wastewater. They could even play a role in developing more efficient biofuel production processes.
So this research really opens up a whole new world of possibilities. It's amazing to think that something as humble as rust could have such a profound impact on so many different aspects of our lives.
It's a testament to the power of science and the importance of approaching the world with a sense of curiosity. Sometimes the most unexpected discoveries can lead to the most groundbreaking innovations.
This has been a truly mind-blowing deep dive. But before we get too carried away dreaming about rust-powered farms and phosphorus-rich wastewater treatment plants, we need to wrap things up. We'll be back after a quick break to explore some final thoughts and leave you with some thought-provoking questions to consider. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we've been exploring iron oxides and, their surprising role in boosting plant growth. And honestly, who knew that something we usually think of as like decay and breakdown could actually be helping plants to thrive?
It's a great example of how nature challenges what we think we know.
Totally. And I have to admit, when we started this deep dive, I was thinking about, rusty old cars and like crumbling bridges.
Right.
But now, thanks to this amazing research from Northwestern University, I'm seeing iron oxides in a whole new light as like essential parts of how life works.
It is a powerful shift in perspective, and it shows how important it is to look at the natural world with a sense of curiosity and wonder. You just never know what hidden treasures you might uncover.
Speaking of hidden treasures, before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on something you mentioned earlier about the potential of this research
Sure.
to address the phosphorus shortage.
Right.
That's a big deal, right?
It is. As we discussed, phosphorus is a finite resource.
Right.
And how we rely on mining phosphate rock right now isn't sustainable.
Yeah, it's damaging the environment, and those reserves are running out.
Exactly. This research offers a potential solution, a way to move towards a more sustainable future. One where we can use the organic phosphorus that's already in the soil.
So instead of digging up more and more phosphorus, we can use what we already have more efficiently, thanks to the power of iron oxides, especially goethite. It's almost like turning rust into riches.
That's a great way to think about it. And this could have so many applications,
Yeah.
not just increasing crop yields. Imagine using these iron oxide-inspired catalysts to clean up contaminated soil,
Okay.
or even treat wastewater. They could even help make biofuel production better.
It's incredible to think that something as simple as rust could be so important for a more sustainable future. And it makes you wonder what other solutions are out there just waiting to be found.
Exactly. This research really shows how nature often holds the answers to so many problems.
It does. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive. And I don't know about you, but I'm leaving with a whole new appreciation for how complex the world is and how everything's connected.
Me too. And this is just the beginning. There is so much more to learn about iron oxides and their role in the environment.
That's what I love about science. There's always more to explore, more to discover, more to understand. But before we go, I want to leave everyone with one last thought-provoking question to consider.
Okay.
We've been talking about iron oxides helping plants grow. But what about other ecosystems? Could they be just as important for the health of forests or grasslands or even, in the water? It's something to think about.
It's a great question, and it's something that scientists are starting to look into now. Who knows what other surprises are out there?
Exactly. Well, that's it for this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed exploring the world of iron oxides with us today. And if you want to learn even more, check out the show notes for links to the research we talked about and other cool resources.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
And remember, even in the most unexpected places, there's always something new to discover.